So, good morning. Today we're going to make 6 little tapas bowls from 1.5 kilos of clay. This means that each little bowl needs to be weighed out to begin with to be only 200 grams. And you make it into a little ball and a little pinch pot. But I'm going to show you something new. It's a way that you can mold the pinch pot after you've got it nice and even. Mold it over something. So I use this little bowl. It's about 12 centimeters up to this area here, wide. If whatever you're using, whatever former you're using, has got a textured or dented bottom, you need to fill that with clay. So before you put your plastic over it, so that your inside of your bowl doesn't have that texture and shape. This little plastic Tupperware has got some patterns there, so I would have just smeared some clay there and made it smooth with the credit card before putting the plastic on. So you need to look around your house and find something that will make a nice shape for your little bowls. And then your challenge is to decorate them and have fun decorating them. I recommend just drawing them and seeing what designs you can come up with. I was playing around originally with quite big rims that would have patterns on them. But then I decided I didn't have enough clay, so I went for more like a sprig mold design where I could do patterns all the way around. But of course, it would be nice to have a theme for your 6 bowls. Maybe I could have just done bobbles, different kinds of bobbles all around my bowls. But I here have shown you how to put little handles on and how to leave them completely plain with a bit of scratching design. So it's up to you what you do with your little pinch pots. Be creative and have fun. Enjoy. After weighing your 1.5 kilos of clay, weigh out 6 balls to 200 grams each and make them into little round balls, and then make a hole with your thumb into the center of the ball, making sure that there are no wrinkles or cracks on the rim as you go along, and hold it in your other hand with your thumb always on the inside. The angle that you hold your hand, the direction that your thumb is pointing, will decide what shape your bowl is. So if your thumb is angled straight up, it should be a deeper, rounder bowl. So you go round from the bottom in a very slow spiral, little pinches right next to each other so you don't leave great big lumps all the way around and finger marks. You go around many more times than you think you need to, then you'll get rid of most of the finger marks. And when it's all exactly the thickness that you want, that's the point at which you can stretch it over your mold that you've chosen. Also check that the base of your tapas bowl is the same thickness as the walls. Sometimes people make the base thicker when they're pinching. So look for evenness all along. Once you've pressed it and stretched it over the plastic over your former, then just smooth the outside with your thumb without thinning it anymore, because you might just thin it too much because you can't see how thin you're going if you press too hard. So simply just smooth over the top all the way around. Try to make each pinch pot more or less the right size for your mold. It can be slightly smaller, and then the clay will stretch quite well, but then you recompress it with your finger or with your thumb over the mold so that you relieve any stress marks from the stretching. Carry on making your pinch pots and pressing them over the mold until you've made all 6, each time just peeling off the plastic and laying them down and reusing it. The rim of your tapas bowls maybe evened out with scissors. Scissors give a nice cutting motion from both sides. Just be careful of the angle that you hold it at. Don't angle it down or up because then you won't get a horizontal line. It will give you a slightly faceted look, but then you can smooth that with your finger and thumb all the way around and then with a sponge. While your bowls are drying to leather hard, you can make the appendages and little sprig molds and handles, whatever you're going to put on to your bowls, and let them dry with the bowls, both of them, to leather hard. So here I'm going to show you how I made balls all the same size. You roll a coil and then cut pieces along the length of the coil that are all the same width, and then they will be the same size balls. So these are balls that are slightly larger than the balls that I made for around the rim, and I'm going to cut them in half once they're leather hard, then they won't distort. To make an even coil, you need to roll slowly and feel the clay through your fingers where you need to press harder or less hard. So people tend to roll their coils much too fast and then they flatten and go oval. But if you go slow enough, you should be able to release pressure when necessary and press down when necessary. These are all the little balls that I'm going to put on the rim of one of my tapas bowls. Here I'm taking some of the larger balls and putting them flat on the table and pressing them into little pyramids that will go around the edge of one of the tapas bowls. Here I'm taking two balls of equal size, then clapping them in the palm of my hand so that they form ovoid discs, and then I'm flattening the one side to give it an edge that it can join nicely onto the side of the bowl to be a little handle. I'm showing you a different kind of handle, which is a little tube that is twisted into almost like a unicorn horn. And it's a fun technique, very effective, it looks very professional, and you can use it for all different kinds of hand building projects. So you need to start off with a squared off coil by banging it down on all four sides on the table. And then with a wet finger, you run your finger up and down the edge, the top edge, guided by your thumb and your finger on the sides, and you make a little groove all along the length of the coil. And then you gently put it on the next side or the edge of the coil and do that side. And when you've done all four sides with a concave trough, then it'll be a very effective spiraled coil once you twist it the way I'm doing there. Once all the appendages are ready, put it all to the side and let it dry for a few hours to leather hard. Then everything will be ready to join together. Just check that everything's nice and smooth once it's leather hard. Your rims are very important, so make sure they're well compressed and smoothed. And there I've laid out all the different bits and pieces that I'm going to add to each different bowl, ready to attach with scratching and slipping. If you want to get away with not having to put a little coil all the way around the join of every single ball that you put on, in fact these aren't balls, they're half balls, you need to scratch it, then slip it, then scratch it again and then slip it again, both surfaces, and then press them really firmly together. Check many times that they're well firmly squashed together. Then you just need to get rid of the extra slip that is squashed out with a paintbrush, and then you can be sure that they won't form a crack where the join is. You can see I've cut out a little mouth on the one side of each ball, like a Pac-Man, with a paper clip that I have made to have the same profile as the lip of my bowl. So to make it narrower, I pressed it in a bit with the pliers and then cut out that groove on each little bobble. I don't recommend putting the bobble directly on the rim without doing this, because then there's not enough surface area joining. With this way it's still very effective, but you can have a very firm join because it's coming down both sides of the rim. And remember to scratch and slip twice. Just clean up around the outside of the bubbles with the paintbrush. Because the tapas bowls are sloping inwards, I need to cut the handles at an angle so they make a good join before I scratch and slip and join them. I'll need to do that on all the handles because of that sloping shape of the bowl. paper clip makes a very nice tool for sgraffito if you want to carve a design around your bowl. So these are my little tapas bowls. When you finish decorating your bowls, all that remains to do is to make sure that you have them smooth on the inside and get rid of the little crinkles from the plastic, either with a sponge or first with your finger and then a sponge, and then just check that the rims are as you want them, that they haven't got distorted from adding little bits and pieces. And then you're ready to decide on whether you want to paint them or just dip them in a coloured glaze. So I hope you get all creative with your little tapas bowls. Enjoy!